brought you two together, PEMF and Align, like, what's that story?
Our mission on this planet is to help more people heal and truly learn how to heal themselves, so empowering people with tools.
I always knew that I was destined for like helping people.
When you're in pain, it's really hard to think a more positive thought. The physical pain that I felt in my body for so many years, I don't want anyone else to have to suffer that.
I was lying there and I was just talking with you, and then I felt this energy kind of envelop like my forearms, and I was like, I feel it.
The PEMF, it's a sine wave, something that's indicative to nature. So then the wave that comes off the PEMF is very fluid, just like waves in the ocean.
It'll help re-energize the body at a cellular level, and it'll help us be more effective at releasing toxins from the body.
One, there was that feeling, but two, I was extremely relaxed when I was on that mat. Welcome to the HealthFit Huddle, where we keep you mobile and active, away from painkillers and surgery, so you can get back to the things that you love. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Jason Hahn, CEO and co-founder of HealthFit Physical Therapy and Chiropractic. Today I'm joined by Mike and Alyssa, the founders of Align. We met a few weeks ago at a Paul Goff event, who is my business coach, and not only did I love their product, but I think most importantly for me, I loved you two as founders of this company, innovators, and just amazing people. As far as your company, one of their primary goals is to empower holistic wellness through innovative technology, making self-healing accessible in every home. So thank you for coming.
Thank you for having
Yeah,
us.
thank you so much for having us.
All right.
Appreciate it.
So I want to give our audience a little bit of a background of who you are. So if you wouldn't mind, tell us a little bit about yourselves and what got you to start Align as your company.
So I guess we can start at the beginning.
Yeah.
I think a lot of this, we're both health practitioners, and it began with our own personal pain to purpose story. I'm a former aerospace engineer, and I had a health crisis in my early 20s that sent me on a decades-long journey. I'm now a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, and basically it means I'm a PI for someone's health. So I'm looking holistically at the whole body and correlating it to their lifestyle to help them avoid needless suffering that I did for decades of my life. And Mike has a very similar story, but mine was more in the physical context. His was more in the mental and emotional realm.
Right, so I'm a medical intuitive master healer, and I work with more of the subconscious mind. So blockages, beliefs, anything that's like hindering you from moving forward in your life. And, you know, I had a pain to purpose story too. I mean, when I was in my early 20s, I had severe anxiety, depression, and I was just on the wrong path, you know, of like business, health, everything. So, you know, to really come together and like create something so beautiful with Alyssa, it's just amazing.
If you wouldn't mind, and it's totally up to you, you're talking about this health crisis that you had. Would you be willing to share a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So I had gut issues from the time I was about 6 years old. I started gymnastics at 4, started developing pretty chronic like IBS symptoms then that I was told from a child onward, like that's just normal to deal with that. TMI, but I mean, like, by the time I got to my late teens, early 20s, like, it was just normal to walk in a place and look for, like, the nearest bathroom or exit, just because, like, my body, I got used to it, what I considered, like, it betraying me. In my aerospace job, it was really, like, a year into the field, I was already starting to develop, like, I had jaundice, I had insane, like, bilirubin levels, I was competing in fitness competitions, so I looked like the epitome of health, and my boss is bringing me to the ER, like, what's wrong with this girl? I was having a couple months later, neurological issues. So I was losing limb function, I was vomiting till there was nothing left in my body, losing vision, I couldn't speak, and they're doing MRIs in my head looking for tumors, MRIs in my neck looking for blocked ventricles, and they couldn't find anything medically wrong with me. And I'm like, well, clearly, like, this isn't right. I didn't really understand being on a path of purpose, like the law of attraction and all the things that we speak about now, where how much the spirit, the mind-body connection plays a role. The day that I went on a medical leave of absence from my government job, and I started driving away from that city. It was literally like I had a veil being lifted off my head. Like every mile, like I started gaining more strength and mental clarity, and I didn't understand what that was until years later.
It's like the miraculous healing that we talk about, right? And, just like getting yourself away from that situation, away from not being on your purpose and going into something brand new. It's like the body is like safe now. It's like, well, it's excited. Now we have that energy that comes into us and be like, okay, what's next? I'm ready to go, But if you have something that's bringing you back, it's just like, it'll show up and manifest as physical imbalances.
So what brought you two together and then brought you along this path of PEMF and Align? Like, what's that story?
So that's kind of funny. So Alyssa's that brain, right? She's an aerospace engineer, so she was super in the logic. And I'm more of that, like, esoteric, more like into the energy, flow with type. So the first time we actually met, we were at a party and I was leaving. And I actually was like, man, there was something about her. I need to go back. So I was like, I'm going to go say goodbye to her. Anything I could do to like go back and be like, you need to like be in my field. So I went over and I was like, thank you for having us over. If you want to have a session, I would really love to have a session with you.
Well done.
Yeah, thank you.
Very
And she was like, yeah, sure, whatever,
I'm a scientist. I don't believe in that woo-woo stuff.
Yeah.
That was my answer to him. I'm like, I didn't say that.
Yeah, she didn't believe in it at all, 5 years later.
And we've been on this incredible journey, tangibly manifesting things into our reality that we think about and put energy on. So I think for 5 years ago, I might have believed in like the law of attraction, like, oh, I can manifest a parking spot or something like that. When we built a relationship together and we fell in love and we actually elevated our frequency together, the things that we think about and we manifest, there is no accident that we are supposed to be on this path together doing this work to help more people heal. It's just everything that we wanted to accomplish in the health and wellness field, where we were, I would say, either self-sabotaging or had people that didn't believe in us before we were being facilitated to do together. And that was our journey initially. We were just siloed practitioners that would kind of cross-refer client patients to each other.
So we had all like our own 9-to-5s and our own like business, and we were, like you said, siloed. But it's like when we came together, we just realized like the beauty of us. Mind, body, spirit, everything. Everybody needs to have. They need to give the body a voice, then you also have to give your subconscious mind and your your emotions a voice, right? Things that you don't otherwise talk about. And it's cool.
I love a good love story.
Yeah.
So, what brings in PEMF at this point? Like, were you already using it? Did you discover it together? What was that?
So we had been utilizing biohacking devices for years prior. So ourselves to up level, whether it would be cold plunge, meditation, breath work, leveraging red light, leveraging PEMF, microcurrent therapy. There's a ton of modalities that we had already had exposure to. And it wasn't early on. I mean, in our relationship and when we're working together with our clients, like they were very transformative journeys, but we were like, if our mission on this planet is to help more people heal and truly learn how to heal themselves, so empowering people with tools, we're not even reaching the tip of the iceberg in our one-on-one practice, where we walk with people for 12 to 18 months, singular person, one-to-one. So we were looking initially, even like with group coaching, which we've done retreats and seminars and things in that context, but how do we really, again, provide a tool that would really help people shift their nervous system to create a better thought for themselves, to create a better feeling, less pain in their body, so they can go forth and like really, truly, actualize their passion and purpose in life, because when you're in pain, it's really hard to think a more positive thought.
I mean, yeah, and I was always into the biohacking, right? So I always knew that there was different modalities and different technologies and everything. But when I got on it, I'm super sensitive. So when I got on something, I didn't feel it. I was like,
a lot of the tech out there,
so what's
like,
going on? It's like, I know it's sub-perception and everything like that, but it's like, people need to kind of feel something to get that belief that something's happening to heal them, right? So, that's why, like, we created the PEMF, is because, we were in private practice, and it was before COVID, where we would be on the phones for like 1 to 2 hours. And it would be, a long time, just like coaxing these people and being like, everything's going to be okay. Let's change your mindset. Let's see what we can do with your supplements. And then it was like exhausting at the end of the day. And Alyssa and I looked at each other. It was like, how can we reach more people, to help them heal themselves? And what would be an easy solution? And I always knew about grounding, and I always, knew about PEMF. But I was like, it actually came into me in like a meditation, and I was like, got all the downloads of like what it needed to look like, what it needed to be, and like I told her, and she's like, oh my gosh, yes, we need to figure this out. And it just kind of grew organically that way, but we always knew the benefits of PEMF and how strong they were, but mixing that and bringing that more towards nature, because like we always say, nature never made a mistake, ever. Like, you see a tree grow, it never grows wrong, right? You see a bush, whatever. So we took all those, philosophies and components of nature and put it into our product. So with the PEMF, it's sine wave, something that's indicative to nature. So then the wave that comes off the PEMF is very fluid, just like waves in the ocean, right? It feels good, it's natural, it's normal, it's harmonizing. And then with the PEMF settings, you have the natural Schumann resonance frequency. So that frequency that you get when you are walking on a beach, barefoot. You're like, ooh,
We would
this,
tell our
this
clients
feels
to
kinda
go
good.
outside and do this.
Right.
Right.
And they'd be like, no,
I'm
I
too
don't have
busy
time.
for that.
I
So
don't
now
have
we
time.
created a tool that they can bring into their home. They don't have to drive anywhere, make an appointment. They just get to lay on their mat. And they're like, well, how often can I use it? And I'm like, well, it's mimicking nature. You can
Yeah.
use it all day, multiple times a day, and you're never going to overpulse yourself with the technology we created.
Right. So it's safe. It's like being in nature and taking that philosophy of grounding and putting it on steroids, so to speak.
Because I remember when we were talking about originally at this conference, you put over 2 years of work into this.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about that journey?
Oh man, that
So,
was fun. Like when we decided to like dig into it, and this is like something I like because I like digging into it and seeing what's like, possible and what else is out there. But
We pulled apart so
we-
many other
yeah.
pieces of technology.
we pulled apart, and that was like expensive too, and we were like bootstrapping this, right? We just had credit cards. It was like we've never told anybody this, but like the prototype, I had to actually get a loan from my mother to actually make it happen, So I'm really grateful for that. But we were pulling apart mats, we were pulling apart technology, like expensive things, and you're like, oh man, this is what is going on? And we were actually seeing what was out there, and there was like a common theme popping up. It's like, oh, okay, well, I saw that in this other mat. Oh, I saw that. Well, how can we make it better? How can we, make it unique and make it more powerful and make it more usable and user-friendly?
And then the genuine nature. I would say like the longest piece of our journey was finding genuine stones. Working
Yeah.
directly with all of the mines and the suppliers and the textile manufacturers, like the people that we work with, having trusting relationships. So like that's huge for us. So not only forward facing to our customers and the relationships that we're building with our people in the front end, but the back end to ensure that we're getting genuine quality products. And that was something that Mike feels into, is like the stones, and we actually send
And
lots
people are
of our
going to think
stones.
that's super weird. People that are watching is like, stones, I don't feel rocks, no. But there's like a certain vibration that comes off of these stones because they've been around for millions and millions of years. So they're picking up that awesome frequency. And stones, just like anything else, like us, like you can feel if something's negative or you can feel if something's positive. But being bathed in these Schumann resonance frequencies and under the pressure, it holds that frequency. So, and it doesn't leave it because it's the best medium, other than stainless steel, but it's the best medium to keep a frequency in. So when you have genuine stones, you can actually uptake that frequency. And it's really native to us. because we never used to walk around, in shoes with rubber soles on them, right? Never happened. We were always connected to the earth. And guess what? You're walking on rocks, and you feel pretty good when you start doing that. So, I mean, it's important to.
We liken it when we have the conversation to people, electrolyte minerals, right? People understand they need sodium, potassium.
This is the science of it.
So it's like, all right, I consume those for fluid balance, hydration in the body. And why does it work so well? Well, all of this is electrical, right? Every cell in our body has voltage. So when we consume water and these minerals, whether it's internally or we're laying on these stones, it's conducting energy. So we're helping fluid flow and energy through the body. And the science of the bed of rocks is that it actually produces serotonin, so it's benefiting our neurotransmitters in our body, and it reduces free radical damage. So all the toxins and the things that we're being exposed to in the environment, it helps our body release that more effectively. Yeah.
For those of us that, or the clients that are watching that don't know what PEMF is, can you explain what that is to start with?
Sure. I'm going to explain it really simply, and she can get into the science of it. So you have PEMF, so it's pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. That's what PEMF stands for. And PEMF is just the pulse rate in which it goes into these PEMF generators. So these PEMF generators are pretty much copper wound generators, but it's the rate in which the electricity is pulsed. So we have different frequencies, like we were talking about 7.83, right? That's like the harmonizing frequency, that's called the Earth's heartbeat. So when we have that mimicked in the mat, it's the pulse rate that goes through the controller that cuts it off every time. So it makes 7 pulses per second, right? Okay. So that's like that, just that frequency that happens. Go ahead.
So,
let's dive in.
all right, so as far as the science of, like, forget the mat for a second, like, PEMF is something that's the Earth generates naturally. The sun hits the Earth's atmosphere, that's a waveform. So electromagnetic field hits the ionosphere of the Earth, and it comes to the Earth in the form of lightning. So everywhere, every moment on the Earth's surface, there's about 2,000 lightning bolts that strike the Earth. So it's charging this field, the surface of the Earth that we walk on. Where it becomes a problem, like Mike was saying, is when we're disconnected on rubber-soled shoes, on concrete foundations. So since the 60s, when they really introduced sneakers, this is when we started seeing an incidence and a rise in all chronic diseases, including inflammatory diseases that we talk about today, because we're disconnected from our nature. We've removed ourselves from the environment. So now we're creating tools that help bring nature back into the home and into the environment where people can recharge themselves. So PEMF comes in where we're the only mat on the market that's included these 8 Schumann resonance specific frequencies that are really native and familiar to our body chemistry. And we have different frequencies that either they're going to meet your nervous system where it's at. It'll help you sleep, matching delta brainwaves, all the way up to that gamma brainwave state, which will help release inflammation in the body. It'll help re-energize the body at a cellular level, and it'll help us be more effective at releasing toxins from the body.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you kind of alluded to it a bit there, and obviously you took apart everyone else's mats. How else does Align stand apart from the other ones that are out there?
So the sourcing of the stones. We have relationships with mines all over the world, so that was super important to us. And we've seen that is something that's pretty unique to us because that's important. Like I said, these stones hold the energy. The PEMF, we call it the organic Schumann resonance mimicking technology that's in the mat. There's no mat on the market that can mimic the Schumann resonance to the pulse, right? And it's actual PEMF, the actual pulse rate. So it's true, right? And these frequencies, like she was saying, is like something we're familiar with. So we don't even know what this is, what PEMF is. We just know it feels good. But we uptake these frequencies, and it feels, normal. It gives us relaxation. It gives us, the ability to help heal ourselves. And, so another end of the spectrum for that would be like EMFs, right? Everybody's talking about EMFs, 5G, all of it, and it's dangerous. It's just a different range, right? It's higher, more high-pitched frequency, and our body isn't native to that. So that's why it makes us feel dysregulated. So we are regulating your body by having the ones that you're familiar with. And then we would say the infrared technology. It's true infrared that's in the mat. It's created from a infrared heating element that's in the mat, and not a copper wire. So you're not going to get that heating pad feel. It's going to be a deep penetrating.
Overstimulating.
Right. It's not overstimulating, and our mat is also EMF and dirty electricity free. It's the way that we wrap our components and the wires and everything that's in the mat, down to the controller. You can put it up to your head and you won't get any bad frequencies. But the infrared technology, like I said, it's a actual heating element that evenly disperses the heat, but also creates like that panel technology, like that's in a infrared sauna, that penetrates the muscles, penetrates the skin and everything, so it can give that deep healing.
So you've been on the mat and you get thirsty on it?
Yeah.
It's actually, it's not in the sense that it's dehydrating, but water is our best detoxifying agent in the body, so it's actually helping push a gentle detoxification. So we're always like, please be hydrating before, during, and after your session.
And that was funny because we were at one of our events and a lady was like, I'm never thirsty. And after I got off your mat, I was so thirsty. I needed to run and get some water. And she's like, what's happening? It's like your body's detoxing for the first time. And so they all work in harmony. And when I say they, I mean all the components that are in the mat, right? So the PEMF is opening up the channels for, lymphatics, and that can be like another story, and then the infrared is really helping move circulation. So it's just like opening up these channels that you otherwise wouldn't have open, that you're detoxing.
Right.
And in this day and age, we're super toxic, especially with all the things that are environment, stress, food, so it's good to have.
Yeah, when at the conference when I used it for the first time, and I've used I think I told you the story. I've used PEMF in the past, and my story was I was introduced to it because my brother-in-law he passed away with cancer. So late in his stage of sickness or whatnot, he had gone to a more holistic center where they were doing like Rife method, and they were using a PEMF mat, and I saw firsthand how much better he was when he used it. And I know he had one at home he used, and unfortunately he passed away. So it's like, maybe this is something I need. So I tried a different brand for a while. Probably I wasn't as consistent as I should have been. Maybe I didn't understand enough. But I think part of it was I didn't ever feel anything. So I had told you the story, and then I was on the mat lying, and you're so soothing with your voice. So you're like, I'm going to take you to this. I'm like, oh, what's the stealth one versus the purple one? And you said it's gonna feel like a warm hug or something to that point. I was like, all right, whatever. And then I was lying there and I was just talking with you, and then I felt this energy kind of envelop like my forearms, like this weird. And I was like, I feel it. It's like I feel it.
Yeah.
So, one, there was that feeling, but two, I was extremely relaxed when I was on that mat, and that was my experience, and that's why I was like, okay, I need to get this for myself and get it for my clients, because we had talked about how, again, we do physical therapy and chiropractic here, but it's not always just an orthopedic condition. There's a lot of underlying issues, whether you're always stuck in a sympathetic state, your parasympathetics aren't high enough, you're just stressed, you're just locked up. So I was like, okay, this is another great modality we can stack with our current services in order to help our clients get better. So regarding PEMF, what are some of the benefits your clients have reported with using PEMF?
So talking about fight, flight, or freeze when we're talking about the nervous system, and most people wandering around in sympathetic dominance, and they've just regulated that is their normal state, and they'll tell you all day long, I'm not stressed out, and then they get on the mat and you watch the shift. You see them shift from, short chest breaths to deep diaphragmatic breaths. You watch the shoulders drop. We've seen, my goodness, as the nervous system shifts, because we're wandering around, it's basically like walking around with invisible armor on. We're protecting ourselves from the outside world, whether it be sitting in traffic, a challenging boss, just being a caretaker. We have to show up in a certain way. As this shift happens, we are actually witnessing like mental and emotional shifts. So people are releasing trauma. For the most part, people are just feeling super relaxed. Like you said, like it's like a hug. Like your body, your muscles finally release. So speaking to the end of like the benefits, muscle recovery. So whether you are an athlete or someone that's just experiencing discomfort in their body, so soothing muscle tension, relaxing the fascia, so it's helping with, again, hydration, fluid flow, energetic flow in the body, nutrient absorption, and this is happening at a cellular level, so the cells actually uptake the nutrition and release waste more effectively. It's opening up blood flow and tissue oxygenation. So it's really, we're seeing like systemic release of inflammation throughout the body, but it's also re-energizing the body. So forward-facing symptoms, people sleep better, people have more energy throughout the day, and they recover faster.
Yep.
If you were to go back 20 years and have this technology, what do you think, or you probably know what it would have done for you? What do you think it would have done?
It's 2024, summer right now. The Olympic Games are on. I walked in your office and you had gymnastics on. That was my goal as a little girl. That's what I wanted to do. When my dream of becoming an Olympic gymnast died with the injuries that started to progress in my body pretty early on, I was like, well, at least I could make it to be a collegiate athlete. And I had a shoulder injury and got diagnosed with scoliosis, so that took me out. But I'm looking at the fact that if I had technologies like this, like how much better. My biggest issue is my body wasn't able to recover with the fact that I was training 20 to 25 hours a week as a little girl.
Right.
This would have been hugely impactful. Yeah.
It's interesting that you bring up your past athletic career and how it's driven a lot of your current, what do you call it? It's like your passion. And people will sometimes ask me, why do I care so much? Or why am I so hard on even some of my staff as far as like the quality that has to be here? And I was on the U.S. national team for Taekwondo for 7 years. I have 3, and we just talked about the Olympics, I have 3 world silver medals.
Wow.
I didn't make the Olympics in 2024 because they took the division above and below me. So there's a lot of driving factors for me as far as like, yes, I can blame the system, I can blame the competitor that I was fighting or the referee, but it really comes down to what could you have done yourself? And it really comes down to like, obviously I'm in the medical field now, if I could have taken care of my injuries a little bit better, if I would have recovered a little bit better from all my trainings, if I could have augmented the training strategy in order to peak at a certain time, like there's all these little bits and pieces that if it's basically what drives me, because I don't want that to happen to someone else if I can affect it. So like I appreciate you telling that story because there's a lot of method to the madness of why we are the way that we are. You know, you're an aerospace engineer, you're extremely, sharp, you're fit, you're this, but there's also, but like you said, it's kind of like a facade sometimes because people will see you online or meet you in person, you're like, or meet you, and it's like, oh, we have it together. It's like, no.
Always a work
in
progress.
There's some stuff that's going on in the background that we were constantly trying to improve ourselves.
It's pushed us to get here, to continue the evolution and to do this work, and so we can show up. Like, yeah, the physical pain that I felt in my body for so many years, I don't want anyone else to have to suffer that. So if I can help educate, provide tools, show someone a better way to do something more effectively. Like, I don't think any part of my story is on accident. It's all happening for me, and I take responsibility for that.
Yeah.
When we first started, you spoke a little bit about the hardships you had going on. Can you elaborate?
Yeah, because, we were talking about, living in our purpose and having a purpose in life is like one of the main things that like keeps us healthy, keeps us going, keeps us excited. I mean, I was a serial entrepreneur and I was trying to figure out what path I wanted to go into, right? I always loved helping people. Loved helping animals, maybe more than people sometimes, but I love helping people and just seeing them get better. That makes me happy. Like, there's nothing better than that. So when I started my practice and we were getting results and being like, Mike, like, you completely changed my life. You turned it around like 180, like deep stuff too. It's like, dude, I was suicidal before I talked to you. And it's like, whoa, like how can you have an impact on someone's life like that? And a lot of it is just like meeting someone where they're at and like really listening to somebody. That's huge. Like we take that for granted. Like just listening to somebody is huge. But yeah, I mean, like I was a serial entrepreneur, and you asked the question like, what would happen if we had this technology back then? Man, I don't think I would have had the path. The path would have been a little bit different, but it would have helped immensely. I mean, like, I bring up, like, suicide because I was suicidal, because there's all these, as an entrepreneur, you have the ups and downs, the roller coasters, and sometimes more of the downs than the ups, right? There's a point when I was living in my car, so I don't know if I could have had a mat in my car, but, plugged into a park, like, socket or whatever. But yeah, I mean, like, it probably would have changed the trajectory because I would have felt what I felt in my body, and it's like, man, this is something, and no one knows about it, and, I'm an innovator. I love to bring things to the forefront, and in this space, we're like pioneers, because the term biohacking is getting very, very popular. But we're like right on the cuspice. We're like right before the roller coaster takes off, and it's just going to shoot up, and it's just like amazing. So, I mean, I always knew that I was destined for like helping people. So, I mean, I wish I found this path a long time ago, but, that's not the way it was supposed to be. I was supposed to go through these trials and tribulations. I was supposed to, not live in my purpose so much that I had such bad anxiety that I couldn't sleep at night. Horrible panic attacks that, I thought I would have to check myself in the ER because my heart was going to explode, But it's all worth it. It's definitely all worth it. And one of the things Alyssa and I like to drive home is that, this product doesn't heal you. It's not like, oh, the Align mat healed me. No, it's giving you the energy to actualize your healing potential, right? So if there's something like your back starting to feel better, or, I don't know, you're detoxing and you feel better, whatever that is, just know that you have the innate ability in your body to heal yourself. That's it. So yeah, I knew I'd jump around a little bit, but it's just like, it's that's our passion, man. Like we wake up every single morning, we look at each other, we smile the biggest smile because we are so excited to go out and like meet the next person that we can help.
You share a very impactful story, and I remember when I was at the conference, and I was like, "What's the difference between the stealth mat and the purple mat?"
The
The Zen.
Yeah.
The stealth versus the Zen, and you had spoken a little bit about the stealth was made for vets. Can you?
Yeah. So the stealth, actually, during our research and development, so we do have a purple mat. It's pretty. It's like we made it pretty because we want you to keep it out. It's not like a piece of medical technology.
Looks like art.
Yeah, it looks like art. So you're not going to put it under your bed, and when things are out, you're going to use them more, right? So I actually sent the prototype to my buddy who's a career Marine, right? And he's like, dude, what is this? Is this a multicolored yoga mat? Before, I just sent him a picture, and I was like, what do you think about it? He was like, I don't know, dude. And so I told him the benefits of it. He's like, that's amazing. I would never get on that. I would never own that. I was like, oh, man, okay. So, like, my mind is like, we got to make it cool, you know? But we got to make it functional. So I was like, let's do an all-black one. We'll call it the Stealth. We'll really appeal to, like, you know, the stealth bomber, or you know, like, no, to her aerospace engineering, right? So it's the black mat called the Stealth, but it has the 30 pounds of black tourmaline. And black tourmaline, if you know that stone, like, it's a very powerful stone to help pull out negative energies and to protect you. So when you said that you were feeling like something like wrap around your arms, that's exactly what it's doing. It's pulling you in. And so when it's matched with those other modalities within the mat, the other components, it's just like an awesome recipe. Like, we knew it was going to be awesome, and I knew like the components and the metaphysical components of, or the properties rather, of the stones. We just didn't know it was going to be this good. Yeah, we
you
get
felt
surprised.
the difference between the two. So
Right.
that's where it's like, it's such an experiential journey, because we can tell people, I'm like, all of the electronic components, the guts of both of the mats are identical. It's only the stones. And they're like, so people having a level of understanding and then actually feeling the difference in their body, like, this is just stones. Like,
Yeah.
it literally
Yeah.
feels like a hug. Like, we liken it to an inverse weighted blanket.
Yeah.
So when we're looking at starting to test and measure, working with a couple facilities that are going to actually look at the mental and emotional impacts that the Stealth mat in particular has.
Because they're not talking about that. PEMF research is not talking about the qualities and like the impact it has on the mental and emotional. So it's like busting that wide open, and it's like PEMF does a lot more than just that. So when you can like relax, and it's called a homeostasis, right? And you drop into a parasympathetic state from like, so sympathetic is like running from that metaphorical tiger. And then parasympathetic is like the relax, rest, and digest, where you're like, you know, I'm good. Life is good. Nothing's chasing me. I'm happy. So when you don't have that excess energy going to those, you know, places of, oh, what's my to-do list, or, you know, my environment's not safe, or I have to sit in traffic or whatever, your energy is transformed into your body to go to the places that it needs to go to heal. Instead of that energy that's just like expended just because we're worrying, you know.
Can you give me two client stories that stand out in your mind that you've impacted with your technology?
So we'll keep it in the realm where we're talking about like veterans, first responders. So a friend of mine has been a Marine for this is his 20th year, and we brought it down to him. He's training to be the captain of the Miami Beach Fire Department right now, actually. So I won't name names, but he's a really smart, really hardworking guy. But he's done multiple tours, Afghanistan, Iraq, and he's got a significant amount of trauma, as I think most of our veterans can relate to. And we brought the mat down to the firehouse last year, and we only had the Zen at this point in time. And the crew comes back from a call.
Well, we need to preface it because we laid it down right in the firehouse, like where the ambulance and the fire truck pull up. So in the garage, like that's the only space that they had. So these guys like came in off of a call, like super distressed, high, like, you know, dysregulated nervous system. And we were like, let's see what's gonna happen. You know, we were like super excited.
It was awesome. We put 2 of his crew members on it. So
they're like, whoa,
yeah,
something's happening.
A male and a female. So 2 different people. They're both like, I'm feeling like tingling and pulsing and waving sensations, like, oh my gosh, I feel the energy moving through my body, which is pretty characteristic. And we put my friend on it, and we start walking him up the frequency chain, sub-perception. We get to 14 hertz. I watch his eyes pop open, tear up. He puts both of his hands down on the mat, and he gets up, and he's like, that was great, thanks. And he walked out of the room. Not another word was said.
Didn't say anything about it.
So it triggered, as his, again, taking off this invisible armor, the nervous system was shifting, and it was bringing up painful memories. That Zen mat, it's beautiful. It's a great meditative experience. It feels light and floaty. For a demographic that's dealing with some level of mental and emotional trauma, it doesn't feel safe. So to give like the second story, fast forward to, we did a conference in Austin 2 months ago at the end of May, early June. We have a 8-year Army Ranger veteran, 110% disabled. He goes, I don't know where the extra 10% came from, but he's grateful for it. His work sent him there. He's working for another health product and supply company. So he
didn't know what he was getting into. He was
no
like
idea.
Lost. And he was like, man, there's beds over here. I'm kind of tired. I wanna lay down. I was like, okay, cool. Come on over here, you know, because I can like bridge the gap between like bro and like, you know, scientific and spiritual. So I was like, yeah, man, just lay down. We're just going to bring you through the demos. You know, I brought him up, I think it was 14 again. And
He was on the stealth.
He was on the stealth, and he just passed out.
He didn't know
Like,
he fell asleep.
He didn't know he fell asleep. He was like, and afterwards you're like, how you feeling? He's like, dude, I feel great. He's like, I don't know what that was, but that was awesome. He's like, I need one of these. But then he was like telling us, he's like opening his eyes. He saw Alyssa. She was like, you know, working with somebody on another mat. And then he like closed his eyes again and then opened them, and then another person was on the mat. And he's like, well, maybe I should get up, you know?
He didn't realize how much time it. So
he didn't realize, yeah.
We knew a little bit about his story and situation before he laid down, and it's like he's like, the hardest thing for me is to sleep on a regular basis. Like he's like, I haven't taken a nap in 15 years. I have a hard time falling asleep
I haven't
at night.
stayed asleep long enough to call it sleep in 15 years. Wow. And he said he just passed out. And you know, people need that time, because when your body's sleeping, it's healing, right? So I was like, we knew it. I was like, don't touch that guy. He is healing himself right now. I don't care who doesn't get on the mat. He needs to have this experience, you know.
To see that in a convention center, to watch,
it's amazing.
So we had 5 mats going at the same time, so much bigger than where you met us at the Talk Off, and watching groups of people like literally drop into parasympathetic. You watch their breath patterns change at the same time. We'd never seen it like that many people all at once. We had almost 200 people on the mats over the course of 3 days. Yeah. And it was incredible to watch people harmonize and sync at the same time. So like cool. That was really telling, like we've been into wellness centers, we've taken the technology across the country, we've met with a lot of people, but to have all of that happening at the same time was just so hugely telling for us about the power and the benefits that this has in so many people.
Right.
Yeah.
And for different reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you're, when we first got when we first got the mat here, there's different frequencies for different feelings. Can you talk a little bit about how that works? Like there's energy, there's restorative, there's all these other types. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So the intensity of the magnetic pulse stays similar. So we were talking a little bit about different types of devices in the beginning. There are high intensity devices that are looking to accelerate a healing response by forcing it. Ours is a low intensity device that's actually, again, allowing that nervous system to shift. So you're an N of 1, so whatever is working through in your body that needs to be addressed most is going to be the first thing that your body's giving energy towards. So when I'm like, oh, this is going to happen for you, like I can help guide you in a specific feeling. But for someone, it might be an amazing detoxifying effect, like TMI, maybe like a colonic effect. For someone else, it might relieve their migraine headache, and we're not talking about specific imbalance states, like, you know, diagnosis states, but just relieving tension and pressure in their body. So, you know, they're throwing a tennis ball better, like whatever it is that they're wanting to do in their day-to-day life, it's improving their performance. As far as like the specific settings, we have manual settings, so 1 to 50 hertz. So people can address specific imbalanced states, and there's 60 years of published PubMed research that talks about specific hertz values that address those. And then our 8 Schumann resonance programs, which is where we predominantly live when we do a demonstration for someone, because it's easier to help guide them on what they might feel in their body to help reconnect. And
it's really cool too, because those frequencies are picked specifically, right? Like they're tuned to the Schumann resonance. And so it goes, the frequencies are 1.2, which is like low brainwave state, like it's gamma meditation, right? So like when you're first waking up, going into like waking up for the day, right? And it's 7.83, that magical frequency that we're all, resonating with when we're walking on the earth. 9.6 is the next one, so that's good for beta brainwave states. So if you are like doing a podcast or whatever and you need to retain information or you need to be on point, that's a really good frequency, because anywhere from 7 to 10 hertz is where your brain is at homeostasis. And 7.83, you said that all the organs resonate at that frequency.
Yeah.
So that's a native frequency to your organs to be
It's
like,
like
oh,
the
happy.
sweet spot in between
Right.
theta and alpha.
Yeah.
So on alpha is that really beautiful concentration place where we talk about, we were at a conference on Saturday where they were
Theta,
speakers,
sorry.
speakers at the event, and I'm like, get on 9.6 for that alpha brainwave state for concentration before you get up and give your presentation. It's going to help give you more coherence and calm any of the spastic energy and the thoughts down. If you have someone that didn't sleep well like the night before, we want to put them up at that 39.9, that highest human resonance that we have in the mat, which is that gamma brainwave state. So we liken it to like not as stimulating jittery, like having a cup of coffee, but like mental clarity and focus, maybe ideas and thoughts are coming through, but your
Right.
body feels super relaxed. So we call it mat melt.
Okay.
So like the best energy supplement you can have without taking anything.
Yeah. Well, I had a funny story, right? I think I texted you when I did the mental clarity one, and I came up with that, the whole chicken thing on my head. It was because of that. It was because
No,
of that.
okay, wow.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
great. That was genius.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
Yeah.
you. So, like,
Right.
that's my personal experience with at least that setting. I've used P2, which gets me super relaxed. I know one of my other physios used the energy setting, and she was
Oh yeah, bouncing
Bouncing
off
off the
walls.
wall.
Yeah.
She
I
felt
remember you
good.
saying
yeah, it felt
that.
good. It wasn't like caffeine jitters or anything like that, but she felt amazing. So it's
Right.
we've had it for about a month now, so now it's like we want to keep trying it, using with other clients, ourselves. For us, we stack it with red light therapy. You guys have been in the biohacking community for a long time.
Yeah.
What other modalities or services have you seen it work really well with?
We play really nice in the sandbox, and it's nice to have a product like that stacks with pretty much everything. Red light, we like to work with Dr. Patrick Porter with Brain Tap. We work with a vibroacoustic sound table technology called In Harmony. I mean, and they're like master stacks, right? And it's like pure bliss when you're doing all these stacks together. But I mean, like, it's no one thing. Everything is like harmonizing, together for it,
The biggest limitation people have is their time. So how can we optimize someone's time? When you have a session on a line, it's 20 minutes on with the frequencies. You can, if you're working with a massage therapist or someone that's doing like an hour modality, yes, they can turn the frequencies on again for their entire session. But if you have someone coming in off the street and you want to maximize the benefits that they're getting, you can have the vibroacoustic therapy that's an immersive experience with sound. You can do the light stim. You can have the red light panel on them for anti-inflammatory benefits, and then you can have the PEMF frequencies going into their body, as well as the infrared, which penetrates, 6 to 10 centimeters into the body. So it's optimizing all of these cellular functions at a mitochondria level. So literally in 20 minutes, like you're literally, they're supercharged humans. So.
Right.
Light pulse therapy.
There you go.
Right.
No, I think you make a good point of like a lot of these technologies, they're not healing you, they're allowing you to heal yourself. And I think that is something that we've learned over the years, having hyperbaric oxygen therapy here. And we initially brought it because my mother-in-law had a TBI. And she wasn't progressing. So essentially I was introduced into hyperbaric, and then she did amazingly well. And then once you learn the science, you're essentially, like you said, you're just supporting the mitochondria to create energy so it can do its job. And it's impressive, and it's satisfying to know that there's so many modalities out there that work in harmony. So, you know, it's just a testament to you guys and where you're heading in this space. So what's next for you guys and what's next for Align? What's next? We all want to know.
So, man, I think the question that we get asked the most is, are you going to have a travel size? So the mat as we have it now is the largest resonant PEMF mat device on the market that's still portable. So like you said, we've traveled all over the country. We put the mats in checked luggage and they travel amazingly. But to have something, we work with a lot of flight attendants and pilots as well. They're like, I just want to throw it in my carry-on and be able to have something at the hotel when I'm on my layover, because I'm at altitude all day long. I'm exposed to radiation. How can I help my body relax and detoxify more effectively? So yeah, there's a lot of people that are asking for a smaller size. And I think super important for us is there's nothing out there for children. So they're still exposed to all of these negative frequencies, Wi-Fi, radiation, 5G, all of this. So what is something that children can actively utilize? And we get asked about pets all the time too. And so pets lay on our mat. They actually push their humans out of the way to get on the mat as it is.
And you've heard, like, you know, for biohacking for pets and everything, but I mean, like, the kids, like, if you build strong kids, you're going to build strong adults. I mean, like, they won't have to go through the things that we went through, right, as younger kids. So, I mean, like, to get them when they're young and to educate them so I like to say this word, understand what's going on with their body. You know, if you can teach somebody that they have the ability to heal themselves at a young level, especially when they're in that brainwave state, right? From 1 to 8, it's a magical time. They're like, and they say like kids are like sponges. They really is, because they're in the meditative state where they're bringing up everything. So if you can program them that they can heal themselves at that young age, it's going to ring out through the rest of their life, because that's a subconscious program. You know, so it's that would be super important, and just getting out there and like really just educating more people about that, you know. And even if somebody's like, you know, I can't do the mat or whatever it is, like, go outside. You have the nature. Take your shoes off, you know. Get in the dirt. Get on the beach. Whatever it is, you know, because.
Expanding the education around what we're doing. Like we've seen this, we were just flying back from Polgoff and had a conversation with a gentleman that was sitting next to us on the plane, and he's like, what's PEMF? What is this? Like, there's only 0.1% of the market. Like, I know biohacking's become a buzzword, but how much of the market space has actually even heard of this? And the people that can benefit from it the most actually are elderly population, and anyone like, I would say over 50, but even our kids now that aren't getting out and getting as active, to be able to leverage us on both sides, that they can have it to, again, have a tool to help them heal themselves faster, because they're not getting outside and not doing the things that are actually activating their true healing potential. You said you have, you know, someone with a TBI or, you know, someone that's sick with cancer. It's like they're not able to do those things that we take for granted. So how can we bring this tool to them that helps them feel better in the moment?
Yeah, I'm super thankful to you guys, because, like I said, we got a mat for my aunt who's dealing with some medical condition. So like anything that we can do to help the ones that we love is important. So for our listeners, where can they learn more about you? Where is that information?
So first, our website, myalignmat.com, and we've actually been growing our Instagram channel with all of these educational videos, and that is also at myalignmat on Instagram. Is probably our most prolific platform.
Okay. Yeah, they have a pretty cool social media website. That's how I spied on you to get more information on this. So I appreciate that.
They can always reach out personally too. It's like we like to have an interaction with our people, but our team's amazing as well. So if you have any questions, we're always there to answer personally.
Awesome. And is there are there any promotions or anything we can do for our HealthFit clients? To get them on board and get their own Align mats?
Yes, so we work with HealthFit, and they're an incredible partnership with us. I love how you guys walk with your clients end-to-end, both physically, mentally, and emotionally. We are offering $100 off any of your client purchases, and you can include your link for them directly. I think it's
Absolutely.
HealthFit LA.
think it's HealthFit.
Just help
HealthFit?
it. We're keeping it simple.
Code HealthFit. So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll definitely link everything in the show notes on the YouTube channel. So if you want to get your Align mat, and I promise you, you're gonna love it. So, any parting thoughts for our clients?
No.
All I'm going to say is that if you take anything away from this, is that the body heals itself. You are super powerful. You have everything in your body that you need to do anything, to accomplish anything. You just got to believe it.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for coming. You came all the way from Vegas.
Yeah.
And you're heading back. Hopefully we don't hit traffic, but thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you so much for having
Appreciate
us.
you.
Hey, if you found this video useful, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification for our latest tips coming to you every week. Share this video with your family and friends. It might just make their day a little bit better. I'll see you soon.